Back in yeshiva again. I missed you last week. Last week I was a Bal Simcha, and I had a bris of a grandson in Bnei Brak, so I couldn't make it to yeshiva. So Baruch Hashem, to me it's the first shiur of this Zman, Chadoshim v'gam Yeshonim, and I see a lot of new faces in yeshiva. And I want to tell all our new Talmidim, you made a very good choice of choosing Yeshiva's Toras Chaim. And my bracha to all of you is you should grow in your learning, grow in Yiras Shamayim, and take advantage of every moment you have in Yeshiva. You have the greatest Ramim. Even the Friday one is also a good Magad Shiur, hopefully. And you should have a Gevaldig Aliyah in this wonderful yeshiva in Yerushalayim, Ira Kodesh. So there are many mitzvahs in this week's Parsha, Parshas Ki Seitzei. So why did I choose, out of all the different mitzvahs of this Parsha, Tzedakah? Because we are in the middle of Chodesh Elul. And the three greatest zgulas in Chodesh Elul, as you know, are Tshuva, Tefillah, and Tzedakah. So I hope we will get around to speak about these three Gevaldige mitzvahs. So I'm starting the other way around, because Tshuva, most appropriate to talk as we approach Rosh Hashanah and Aseres Yemei Tshuva. So mitzvah tzedakah in this week's parsha, as we see at the top of our sheet, ki yeh b'cho evyoin ma'achad achecha ba'achad shorecha asher Hashem Elokecha noisen lecho lo ta'ametz es levavcho v'lo tikpetz es yodcho ma'ochicha hu evyoin ki peseach tiftach es yodcho loi. Torah says your heart shouldn't be hardened, and your hand should not be closed. Open your heart, open your hand, feel the pain of others, and give tzedakah. How much tzedakah is one supposed to give? So we find three different levels, or rather three different shiurim. Chomesh, Maisa, and I'm sure all of you are aware of Maisa Ksofim, Chomesh, but the Gemara in Bava Basra Daf Tes, we find a Chiddush, and that is source number 2 on our sheet. La'olam al yimna odem atzmoi melosei shlishis hashekel b'shona. You need to give at least 1/3 of a shekel every year. Now let me make this clear. The Shulchan Aruch doesn't mean 1/3 of an Israeli shekel chadash, which would be 33 agorot. No. 1/3 of a shekel of days of yore. But still, it's not a lot of money for a year. And the Gemara brings a source. La'olam al yimna odem atzmai lose shlishis hashekel b'shona shene'emara v'hamadnu eleinu mitzvahs loses oleinu shlishis hashekel b'shona la'avodas beis Elokeinu. Could anybody guess where this posuk is? You need to learn Tanakh to know where this posuk is. It's not in Toras Moshe. It's not in Chumash. It is in Sefer Nehemiah. And you all know what Sefer Nehemiah is about. Ezra HaSofer and Nehemiah were the ones that organized the Aliyah from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael to build the Bayis Sheni. And Sefer Nehemiah describes with great detail everything that transpired. And in Sefer Nehemiah we learned that they took upon themselves, each of them, to give a third of a shekel a year, la'avodas beis Elokeinu. So this din is a gewaldige chiddush. This halacha we find, source number 3, Hilchas Tzedakah Yeredeis Mereish Mem Tet. I think it should be in Orach Chaim Simen Kuf Nun Gimel and Hilchas Beis HaKnesses. Because what they took upon themselves in the days of Nehemiah is to give a third of a shekel to build the Beis HaMikdash and for the maintenance of the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara in Megillah Daf Chof says, Posik in Novi Yecheskel, Ve'ehi lohem lemigdash ma'at, ve'kol mokom asher yevoyu shomo, ela bot ha'knesiyas bot ha'medrashes shebebavel. Our shuls, our yeshivas, those are the botei mikdash that we have. So if in the days of Nehemiah everybody gave a third of a shekel for the maintenance of the Beis HaMikdash, that would be l'choira din in binyan Beis HaKnesses. But Chazal teach us, no, it becomes a din in Hilchas Tzedakah. So let's have a look at source number 3 again. La'olam al yimna odem atzmai, meloses poches mishlishis a shekel l'shona, ve'im nosan poches mezeh, lo kiyem mitzvahs tzedakah. Is that so? Does anybody know what does Pruta de Rav Yosef mean? Are you familiar with Pruta de Rav Yosef? I'm only asking the Talmidim, not the Rosh Yeshiva, not the Ramim. Does anybody know what Pruta de Rav Yosef means? It's a sugya in a few different makoymes in Shas. Shomer Aveda. Is he a hiyoםhשחור or a hiyoםhchinam? Rabbi Yosef says Shomer Aveda has the din of a hiyoםhשחור. Why? He has benefit. When he takes care of that Aveda that he found in the street, he has indirect benefit. And what benefit does he have? When he's busy taking care of that Aveda, he has a oisig b'mitzvah, oisig b'mitzvah potam en mitzvah, so he doesn't need to give a pruta for an oni. So this Gemara proves if you give a pruta, you're mekayim the mitzvah of tzedakah. And in so many different sources in Shas, we learn anois and pruta la'oni. So how does the Shulchan Aruch say, if you didn't give a third of a shekel every year, you weren't mekayim mitzvah tzedakah? It is clear that anybody that gives a pruta la'oni is mekayim mitzvah tzedakah. However, you weren't mekayim mitzvah tzedakah in the way that Chazal were metaken. You have a mitzvah every time you give a pruta la'oni. Reb Shilei Diskin argues, you don't even need to give a pruta. Anything you gave to the poor and the desperate that make them happy is a mitzvah of tzedakah. Person comes in, he's extremely hungry, and you give him a date, you give him a fig, you give him some grapes. Doesn't depend whether it's a shava pruta or not. That is the mitzvah of tzedakah. But maybe that would be called gemilas chasodim and not necessarily tzedakah. But if you give a pruta, you're definitely mekayim the mitzvah. So obviously, this Shulchan Aruch, the sources in the Rambam, Perek Zayim Matnas Aniyah means you weren't mekayim mitzvah tzedakah kederech shetiknu Chazal. So that is minimum. Then we find Maisa. Some people are surprised to learn that Maisa Ksofim isn't mentioned anywhere, neither in Bavli nor in Yerushalmi. So where does this halacha come from? Tanas Daftet, source number 5. Omer Rabbi Yochanan Aydich Sev Aser Ta'aser, Aser B'Shvil Shetis Asher. If you're going to give Maisa, that is a sgula, you're going to become rich. So many good people give Maisa, and not all of them become rich. Some very rich people gave Maisa, and they became poor. But Chazal promised, aser b'shvil shittas asher. We will deal with this question in a few moments. So the Gemara in Bavli is mefarish the kefel haloshoin aser te'aser. Why do we find this word twice? Aser b'shvil shittis asher. Source number 6 is Tosfos. Hoche ise b'sifri. Aser te'aser es kol tvua zarach o hayoytze hasod shono shono. Ein liyele tvua zarach u shechayiv b'maiser. Rebes u parkamatye v'kol sharavocha menayin talmid loimer. Eis kol tvuas zarach. So there's a free darshans from this same posuk that you need to give ma'aser not only from the produce of the fields, but also any profit you make, whether it's business, investments, any profits you make, you need to give ma'aser. So many people ask this question throughout the ages. How is it possible that people gave ma'aser? They did not become rich. Not only they didn't become rich, as we know, galgal choyze b'yolam, some of them lost whatever they had. So at the time, some gedalim said, this proves that they didn't really give ma'aser. And many people found that very offensive, because many of these great tzaddikim did give ma'aser. Some of them gave far more than ma'aser. I know many people in America that gave far more than a chomish, and not always did it help them. So the most important source in this sugya is the Pischei Tshuva. I think it's source number 12, quoting the Shlo, Shilas Yavitz, and many others. Ase b'shvil shittas asher ein lecho boi elo pshutoi. The posuk and this promise refers only to maser dogon, maser oni, that people give from the produce of the field. It does not include ma'aser ksofim at all. You need to give ma'aser ksofim because you want to do the right thing. And I tell people, if the only reason you're giving ma'aser is as an investment, then don't give ma'aser. Because nobody will promise you that you're going to become rich or you won't become poor. And when Chazal say, aser b'shvil shittas asher, that is ma'aser dogon. When people grew fruits and vegetables in the fields, and once in 3 years they gave maser oni, that once in 3 years it was maser sheni. 2 out of the 3 it's maser oni. And maser oni, Chazal say, asa b'shvil shittas asher. It does not include ma'aser ksofim. You need to give ma'aser ksofim because you want to do the right thing. You give ma'aser ksofim because you are aware that a Kodesh Baruch Hu gave you wealth, not for yourself, but only to share with others. And that is the reason to give ma'aser, not because you want to make sure that you're going to sustain your wealth. And that is a very important yesod. So ma'aser ksofim, Tosfos brings from this Safri. The opinion of the Bach, source number 11 on our sheet. The Bach deals with the question, could you give ma'aser ksofim to build a shul or to support a koilel? And the Bach says, ma'aser oni is ma'aser oni. And the only thing you could do with ma'aser oni is support the poor and the needy. Nothing else. However, once again, that halacha applies only to maser oni from the fields. Ma'aser ksofim is a din in tzedakah. So ma'aser ksofim you could support a new shul, You could support a kupas gemach. Any dvar mitzvah is okay with ma'aseh ksofim. So in many different areas, the great poskim say that pshuto shel mikra only talks about ma'aseh from fields, fruits and vegetables. Only ma'aser oni, we have the promise of aseh b'shvil shittas asher. Only ma'aser oni needs to go exclusively to aniyim. Ma'aseh ksofim is a din in hilchas tzedakah, and therefore, whatever dvar mitzvah you do with your ma'aser money is legitimate. You could build a school, you could build a shul, you could support a niyim, you could open up a kitchen, or do any other dvar mitzvah. And the opinion of the Bach is, last line, source number 11. Ma'aseh ksofim that you give from mashu marviach b'masa v'matan v'shara v'ochem eino b'chal ze v'yochel litn memene l'tzedakah v'lapid yeshvuim sharei eino chayev bo lo min haTorah v'lo midrabanan. According to the Bach, ma'aseh ksofim is a minag, and it's a midas chasidus. It is not a chiyuv. And then we come to level number 3, which is a chomesh, 20%. So both the Rambam and the Shanoach write, giving 20%, giving a chomesh is a mitzvah min hamuvchar. Ma'aser is mida beinonis. Does a person need to give 20%? The Goyen is very machmir. However, the Rambam and the Shanoach write, mitzvah min hamuvchar. Does anybody remember where is the Gemara about a chomesh? It's interesting. Ma'aser isn't mentioned anywhere in the Gemara, but chomesh is, both in Bavli and in Yerushalmi. Ksubas Tafnun, the Gemara says, Bo'usha hitkinu, hamabazviz al yevazviz yoisem chomesh. The Konas Usha, there was a Choshev Beis Din sitting in Usha, and that is a town in Eretz Yisrael 2,000 years ago. And they were metaken, amabazbez al yevazbez yoisem chomesh. And this is a ma'amah chazal in a negative context and not in a positive one. The Gemara doesn't say how much yes. The Gemara says how much no. Don't give away more than 20%. So where does the Rambam and the Shulchan take that you need to give 20%? This same Ma'amah Chazal is found twice in Yerushalmi. Peah, Beis Amid Beis. And does anybody know why it's in the beginning of Masechet Peah? Do you learn Masechet Peah every day? Does anybody know? Yes, you should. Ele dvorim she'en lehem shiur. It's in all the Sidurim, every day in the morning. That's the very first Mishnah Masechet Peah. One of the dvorim she'en lehem shiur is gemilus chasodim. So, in Yerushalmi, the Gemara says, min haTorah ein lo shiur, midrabanan yesh lo. Bo'usha hitkinu sheyehei Adam mafresh chomesh min hachosav letzedakah. So in Bamli the Lashon is amabazvez al yebazvez yoisem chomesh. But the Yerushalmi says the Konas issue was that a person should set aside 20% of his profits for a tzedakah. And that is also Ksubas Daf Chavtes in Yerushalmi. So I think the Rambam maintained it's not mistavet to make a machlokes between Bavli and Yerushalmi when maybe there is no machlokes. So even though the Lashon of Bavli is Al Yebazbez Yoisem HaChomesh, probably Pshat would be You need to give a chaimish, but not more. So the Bavli and the Yerushalmi actually mean the same, even though there is a slight difference in the wording. So when the Bavli says, and the Yerushalmi says, why say it's a machlekes? And that is where chaimish comes from. So both the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch say, if we find 3 different levels in tzedakah, a chaimish is 20%, ma'aser is 10%, minimum a third of a shekel. So the Rambam Perek Zayin, it's not on our sheet, but the Rambam says, Mitzvah min hamuvchar is a chaimish. Beinoni gives ma'aser. Less than ma'aser is ayin ro, but at least a third of a shekel. And all these different levels are midarabonon, va'asmachuho akro. These are not minatayra. Minatayra, when you give, any time you give, and whatever you give, and how much you give, you're makayim the mitzvah of tzedakah. So when we ask the question, how much does a person need to give? All the Torah says is, you need to give. V'nimsar hadova l'chachomim. And the chachomim are the ones that define how much should one give. And we find 3 different levels. Chaimish, ma'aser, shlishis, hashekel. So I started off today's shiur with a Maimeh Chazal we are all familiar with. And we know this from the Machzor. Tshuva, Tefillah, U'tzedakah, Ma'aviren, Esroya HaGzeira. Why is tzedakah so important? There's a sif in Shulchan Aruch, a person should give tzedakah before he davens. And the minhag is we give tzedakah in the morning because tzedakah is a sgula, our tefillah should be neskabel. V'ani b'tzedek echeze ponecho. From this posek Chazal teach us, b'tzedek echeze ponecho. When we give tzedakah, Kadosh Baruch Hu accepts us, and our tefillahs are neskabel. And that is where the minhag comes from, to give tzedakah before you daven. Actually, one should give tzedakah before every tefillah. But most people aren't aware of that, and they give tzedakah in the morning. But one should actually do the same before mincha, before marav, before every tefillah, because that is a segula for Kabbalas tefillah. As we learned today, aser b'shvil shitas asher, tzedakah is also a segula for parnosa. It's not a promise, as I explained, but it definitely is a segula. Ksuvas Daf Samach Beis, Chazal tell the story, though that's a Gemara in Bava Basra, about Munvaz HaMelech, that gave tons of tzedakah. And the other members of the royal family said, you're wasting the money that our fathers and forefathers saved. And he responded, Avoisai gonzo lamato, ani ganasti lamala. The only money you really have is the money you gave away for tzedakah. That is the only money that is really yours. Whatever other monies you possess are not really yours, because it all could evaporate in a moment, as we all know. You're young kids, you don't know. But people my age know. You could be rich one day and poor the other. The only money one really has is the monies that he gave away. That is yours. And the money you gave away for tzedakah, nobody could ever take that away from you. And the money you gave away for tzedakah, that is forever. All the rest is just kachaloim yauf. So tzedakah is a segula for shefa, but more important than anything else, the Pasuk says, v'tzedakah tatzel memoves. So when you give tzedakah, one never knows what to expect tomorrow, and tzedakah is a segula for good health. So in Bava Basra Daf Yud Aleph, the Gemara tells a story about Binyamin HaTzadik. Binyamin HaTzadik was a Gabbai Shel Tzedakah. And it transpired that a woman came before Binyamin HaTzadik and she said, Rabbi Parnaseini, I need support. Could you give me some money? And Binyamin HaTzadik says, there is no money in the account right now. Maybe come back next week or 2 weeks. Some money will come in and I'll be happy to help you. And this lady says, no, Rebbe. We are in dire straits. I can't wait. The house is empty. I have little children. There is no food in the house. And if you don't help me, my family might perish from hunger. He went into the other room. He took his private monies, whatever he had, and he gave it away. And then Chazal say that Binyamin HaTzadik fell desperately sick. And he was dying. He was terminally ill. The angels came before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they said, Rabbeinu Shalom, you said, if you save one person, you save the world. Binyamin HaTzadik saved 8 worlds, a woman and 7 children. So why would he die? Miyad nikra gezar dinoi, and miraculously he recovered. He had a miraculous recovery, and he became well. And then the Gemara says, "Va'amri la hosifu lo chov beishonim al shenotav." Not only did he recover, 22 years were added to his original lifetime. So that is the segula of tzedakah, and that is why tzedakah is so important. B'yomim niroim and a chodesh Elul, as we prepare for a new year, and we daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for rachamei shamayim. So whenever I tell the story of Bava Basra, I must say the pshat of the Gaon, the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, because it is both a spark of genius and probably Ruach HaKodesh. Why 22 years? Klal Gadol biyadenu. Whenever we find a number, whether it's in Torah or Nevi'im or Ksuvim or even Agodois Chazal, every number has a meaning. No number we find in Torah is just coincidental. No number we find in Chazal is just, it happened to be. And if min hashamayim, 22 years were added on to Binyamin HaTzadik, there must be an explanation why exactly 22 years. Lo pachas v'lo yoisa. So the Gaon says, Bava Basra Daf Tes, the Gemara says, Anoisen pruta la'oni mizborach b'shishu brochos. Hamafaiso b'dvorim mizborach b'yud aleph. Whenever you give tzedakah, you are blessed 6 times. And if you give tzedakah in a proper way, b'seva polim yafos, you gave tzedakah and you didn't give the recipient a bad feeling. You made him happy. And you conveyed to the ani gratitude. Thank you for giving me the schus to perform this mitzvah. Then you are blessed b'yud aleph brachas. So Binyamin HaTzadik, how many people did he save? 8. 8 times 11 is 88. So the Daf the Gemara says, schus, toila, gimel, chadoshim. Every schus a person has, every mitzvah he gives, every mitzvah he performs, gives him 3 months of life. 3 times 88. You know the timetable. How much is 3 times 88? 264. Reish Samech Dalet. And that is exactly Chov Beis Shonim. 12 times 22 is 264. And that is exactly 3 times 88. And that is why Yosifolo Chov Beis Shonim al Shnotav. So as we approach the Yomim Neroim, one of the most important assets we have is tzedakah. Tshuva, tefillah, and tzedakah. So boys in yeshiva, not all of them have money to give a lot of tzedakah. Some do, some don't. Some of us have wealthier parents and some of us don't. But everybody could give something, and I think for yeshiva boys, the mitzvah of tzedakah is not only about money, it is gemilas chasadim. And in yeshiva, there are so many opportunities to do chesed. You see your friend has some shvacha moments or shvacha days, give him chizuk, learn together. So many opportunities in yeshiva to do chesed. Chesed and tzedakah are the same. And Chazal teach us gemilas chasadim sometimes manifests itself in mamain, and sometimes you have gemilas chasadim begufoi, and that is all included in tshuva, tefillah, and tzedakah ma'avira in esloya ha'gezerah. So we should all have a gewaldiges man. The Elul man is the shortest man. You barely start, and it's over. But the Elul man should be the greatest man we have in yeshiva because it's Elul. And because these are very special days. So there are many ramazim about Chodesh Elul. Es levavcha ve'eis levav Rosh Teves Elul. Echod la'ola ve'echod lechatos. Rosh Teves Elul. But the most famous remez, who knows? Ani ledoidi v'doidi li. A fool might think, how did we get all these ramazim? A guy happened to be bored, didn't have cheshik to learn. So he went to the bookshelf, he pulled out the Tanakh Hotzaat Koren, and he started reading the psukim. And whenever he found a pasuk with a sequence of Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed, he underlined it. And that is how we got a lot of Ramazim and Chodesh Elul. But that would be a foolish thought, because all these Ramazim are in Kitvei Ha'ari, and some of them are in Balaturim. So each of these Ramanim has a profound meaning in Pnimius. And I think the most important one is Ani ledoidi v'doidi li. And why do I think so? Yomim Neroim are Yomim Neroim. Kishmam Kain Heim. These are days of awe. And Erech in Daf Yud, the Gemara says, Shalom Malachi Ashores es HaKodesh Baruch Hu. It's the second Ma'amar Chazal I'm quoting in the short shiur today, in which the Malachim opened their mouths, which is an interesting phenomenon into itself. When Binyamin HaTzadik became ill, the Malachim came with a tiny to HaKodesh Baruch Hu. And in Erech in Daf Yud, the Gemara says, Shalom Malachi Ashores es HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Lamo ein Yisrael oimerem halal b'Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim. How come the Jews aren't saying Halal Hashanah and Yom Kippur? And why would the Malachim care? Obviously they do. Obviously when we say Halal, our Halal is Boikeya Rekiem. It goes up straight to the Kisei HaKoved. And even the Malachim are silent and stand aside B'nai Yisrael oimrim Hallel. And that is closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than Shiras HaMalachim. So the Malachim wonder, how come they're not saying Hallel Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu explained to the Malachim, Efshar, Melech Yoshev al Kisei Adin, Sifra Chaim v'Sifra Meisim Psuchim Lefona v'Yoimru Hallel. And the way I understand the Gemara, it's not that we don't need to say Hallel. We do, but we can't. We should, but we can't. Because you need to say Hallel b'Simcha Yisera. And days of awe are days of awe. And we cannot have enough Simcha to say Hallel. So these days are days of awe, days of fright. But the Posek Ani Doidi v'Doidi Li is not in the Pirkei Teichacha of the Nevi'im Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Yechezkel. Those were the great Nevi'im that warned Klal Yisrael the tragedy will be coming. Where's the Posek Ani Doidi v'Doidi Li? You all know. Shir HaShirim. Shir HaShirim is not exactly a sefer of awe, of yira. Shir HaShirim is the ultimate sefer of ahava. And this comes to teach us Elul is not midas adin. Elul is kol koloi rachamim. Elul is about the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Kindalach, why wait for Yemei Adin? Come back to me before Yemei Adin. These are Yemei Rachamim. These are days of love, not days of awe. Take advantage. Take advantage of Elul. Elul is Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li. Elul is Shir HaShirim. Don't wait for the days of judgment. It'll be far tougher then. Do it now. That is what Elul is all about. It's Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li. So Choshev Talmidim. It's Elul. It's almost the middle of Elul. Today's Yud, Elul. Take advantage. Take advantage of every day. Learn better, daven better, learn more, daven more, and give as much tzedakah as you can. Not only b'mamoinai, but also b'gufoi. Ish esrei eyo yazero, ola ochev yoim hachazak. We should all have a gewaldige Elul and a gewaldige Zman, and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.